So on Drive Time tonight, Nigel Barden is here after 6. And he is cooking. Well, it's written down here as Super Berry Barden because it's a superfood berry curry.
Ooh.
Which sounds interesting. He texted me this morning saying it's a hot one. It really is quite a hot one, but he's bringing in some yoghurt for Rebecca.
I know about this guy, the curry he's cooking, and I can tell you he is a genius.
Okay.
I'm very excited.
Nigel's a genius.
Nigel's a genius, but the recipe he's cooking is by a man who is a genius.
All right, okay, that's coming up after 6 o'clock. Our confession. Let's talk food. What an astonishing array of stuff you've brought us.
I have, Ali. I've missed you. I've been, you know. Actually, I nearly killed off Pauline last week. It was a chilly moment, and there was a lot of Celtic perspiration.
What did you give her?
I gave her crab cakes, but with a difference. And it was, but there were green chilies in there, and there are green chilies in this recipe. And in this recipe, it said 2 to 6 green chilies, and I've used 3, but I've only used the pith and pips of 1.5, and yet it still delivers.
Now you're offering a Super Berry Barden, which you'll explain in just a moment. Now, one of the reasons we were doing Spice Oldies is because they've also announced apparently the hottest curry in Britain is at this restaurant in the West Midlands, and they use the Naga chili, which they say is not normally used in this country.
No.
And apparently, if you can finish this curry, you get it for free. Where does this register on that kind of scale?
Oh, it's nothing like as hot as that. It's pretty hot, but it's nothing like as hot. But Naga, it is absolutely lethal. I'm thinking of the hottest one they've been able to grow is in Cornwall. They produce some hugely hot chilies down there.
But after a while, it just goes against the taste, and if you can't taste the food,
that's it. Basically, it's got to enhance it. Absolutely, there's no point in doing it.
So
otherwise.
Explain how we've got this combination, because I've been saying you've got with superfood and berries and curry, which doesn't normally go together.
No, it doesn't, and it's a good story behind it. Gurpreet Bains, much acclaimed author of Indian superfood, and basically he was born in England, but mum and dad, he's from a long family line of Punjabi farmers, and he was always fascinated by grub from an early age, and his mum and dad had a grocery store and then a fish and chip shop, and what he did, he turned part of that into a takeaway restaurant for his own Indian curries, but he was obviously pretty precocious. I mean, even before he was 21, he left England, travelled, visited Middle East, Asia, Pacific, a lot of time in Australia, went to Turkey where he set up a restaurant on the Mediterranean coast, and by 2005 he was in Istanbul, and by the time he returned to England he was carrying a little bit of extra, about 28 kilos, not luggage but on board.
Really?
His physique, 63 pounds or 4.5 stone. So to shed that lot, he decided to eat lots of fruit and veg, and he made low-fat versions of his favourite dishes, and he exercised, and it set him on the path of cooking with superfoods, and all his recipes in his book do list the qualities of the ingredients. And for instance, this one, it's actually going to give us nearly 3.5 times our recommended daily intake of antioxidants, which include antibacterial, antifungal, nice, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, and analgesic, as in pain relief. So within all those ingredients, not saying you need all that, but they are there with all the stuff that we're actually offering.
What would be an antifungal food then?
Chili, cloves, coriander, garlic, ginger, nigella seeds, turmeric, and nigella seeds. So all the type of stuff you see around. Nigella seeds. Now these are called. I think they're actually called. Love in the Mist is this flower, and you can get it all over England. And it's got a little pod. There you go, and a rather beautiful blue flower, and this was picked yesterday. And inside the pod, it's got little black, tiny little black seeds, and these black seeds. There you go, are nigella seeds, or some people call them black onion, and what you do is you dry them out or roast them, and they're a key ingredient of Indian cuisine.
Are they easy to find?
Yeah, well, I didn't realise how easy they were to find as far as I saw them not only in our garden, but lots of other people's gardens. So there you go. Otherwise, you can get them in supermarkets.
I was going to say, they're not in my garden.
No, okay, well...
there's a trampoline and a shed.
You never know, look under the shed.
And a few toadstools, and there's none of that.
Yeah, so no love in the mist, rather than mids, but mist. But no, nigella seeds or black onion seeds are also sold as...
All right, so tell us what we need to have ready to go if we want to make your Super Berry Barden.
Okay, it's cloves, fenugreek and nigella seeds, garlic, ginger, turmeric, green chilies, tomato puree, pomegranate, blueberry and acai smoothie, and then a skinned smoothie, but made from pomegranate, blueberry and acai berries, and the Amazonian berry, which is a much higher level of antioxidants than most other fruit in the world.
Or this is
I'd cook with it.
You cook with it?
Yeah, I've also brought it in to drink with it, and I've also brought some hibiscus juice as well, which is very, very good. And I've also brought, here you go, Rimon, this is Galilee it's called, this is pomegranate port. So we've got some of that as well.
My goodness me.
So it's all going to go off. It's going to be an interesting melange without doubt for this Thursday.
And is there meat?
Yes, chicken. Yeah,
Okay.
but that's to say, it's skinless and bone chicken breast, which I've cut up and I've cooked, as I'll describe in a minute.
Right, all to go with a curry with a difference in just a moment. And we play Drive Time from Radio 2, and Nigel is here. We have a Super Berry Barden. It's a Super Berry chicken curry with all kind of extra bits and pieces. You've probably never heard a curry like this. We've gone through all the ingredients. Tell us what we have to do with it.
I kicked off by frying cloves, fenugreek and nigella seeds in olive oil for a couple of minutes until the seeds started to sizzle. I whipped the pan off the heat and allowed it to cool briefly before adding chopped garlic and ginger until they just brown nicely. And then I mixed in a teaspoon of turmeric. Now, here's a real moment. As I added the chopped green chilies, as I say, and I used 3, but the pith and pips of 1.5, that's all. You can use up to 6. That would be very hot. And
You've judged it absolutely right, I think.
Yeah. Well, I've got some yoghurt on the plate as well for when Matt and Becky Boo have a go at that little lot, just in case it's too warm. And I followed that with tomato puree, fruit smoothie, and this one here, it's a pomegranate, blueberry and acai mix. It is from Innocent, but you can use other smoothies. There are lots of them around.
Have you cooked with a smoothie before?
I have, yeah.
It's quite a common thing, is it?
No.
No,
it isn't. But I do like the rich nature of the intensity of the fruit. But any smoothie with either pomegranates, blueberries or acai in them is good. You can use it. You don't need to use it in that combination, but that's what I've used for this particular one.
Matt's just starting to tuck in now.
Yeah, and then I put a little bit of salt in, not too much, because it's all about health, these recipes. But we'll bring a lot to a rapid simmer. By now I'd chopped the chicken, which was skinless and boneless, into bite-sized pieces and add it to the mixture for a further 10 minutes simmering, by which time the meat is suitably tender. It was in my case. You can actually, because it was pretty warm, I actually added a bit more of a smoothie in there and just reduced it down a little bit more as well, just to take some of the edge off it. And then I garnished it with pomegranate seeds from a pomegranate which I've just broken open, and some chopped coriander, and also
the pomegranate seeds is fascinating, because I've never seen a curry with pomegranate seeds on before, and it really makes a difference. It's just sharp enough to soften things down
again, to cut through it. And I think that's really, it is the yin and yang element of this dish, that you need all that. And so there's yogurt on there if it gets too hot, and I've given you some naan bread as well, and with the rice, I've actually mixed in some ground cumin into the rice as well, just to give it a little bit of a hit. So there's lots of stuff going on there. As for the side dishes you could serve with it, apart from the ones I just mentioned, there could be okra, as in bindi, as in lady's fingers, or spinach. They're great companions as well. But it is interesting with all this. It's called the ORAC value, the oxygen radical absorbance capacity, for scientific measurement of the antioxidant capacity of superfoods and super spices.
I'm learning an awful lot on the show today. A bit dar, mate, absolutely.
And to put it in perspective, green tea, which is very good for you, has 1,253, but the acai berry has nearly 103,000 of these.
103,000 what, remember?
ORAC value per 100 grams.
Right,
dark chocolate has 21,000, dry cocoa 81,000, so very, very good for you, and ground chili 24,000. So once you've got your head around all this, you can work out that and I know it's a book, but you've actually had a bit of a go at, haven't you, before, Rebecca?
Yeah, Rebecca.
We actually cook from this at least once a week.
There you go. So it's and why do you do that?
Because not only does it taste delicious, it also, rather than making you tired afterwards, which most curries you just want to lie on the floor, don't you, for a couple of hours, this makes you feel fantastic. And it's not that difficult to cook either. No. I think this guy is like one of the most underrated chefs in the country, personally.
The book is Indian Superfood, and he is Gurpreet Bains.
Bains, yeah. And this is pomegranate, blueberry and acai superfruit chicken.
One thing we do find is the chilies, they vary. You know, you buy different chilies every week, and you put 4 in one week, you'll put 4 in the next week, and it's completely different in terms of the temperature. It's very confusing.
Yeah, well, these green chilies are from Lancashire, I'll have you know, and they were pretty fiery, I have to say. But what I do love about it is that you've got, within that, each of the dishes tells you what you're taking on board, how much good it's doing you, and it's all about flavour. That's the thing. If we just did this because it tasted great, sorry, if it was going to do as good, fine. But unless it tasted marvellous, there's no point in doing it. But he doesn't use lots of ghee or butter or creams. You know, he'll use maybe a bit of coconut oil, coconut milk, or light that. But mainly, it's a lot of fruits and spices.
And yogurts.
Yogurts are the key to lots of these things.
Okay, Matt has tasted. He's had a little go.
I do like my curry, and I went to uni in Bradford, so I was having curry pretty much all the time. I've never had a curry like this though. This is a completely new experience, and I heard about the whole list of ingredients that you had there that I would never dream of putting into a curry. Does this? Can you do? Because whenever I make a curry for my wife's veggie, so if I cook for her, the best thing to do is a veggie curry because both of us can really enjoy. Are there really good
masses? Absolutely. It's just what it is, and really a lot of these you could do. You could use cauliflower or something instead of chicken, what have you. But there are lots of vegetarian options, but also you can just adapt. It's not too precious, which I love about it. There are lots of alternatives, and I just think that's just to stop and think about what we're eating. But you don't have to take lots of fats on board.
Would you say this is a bit of a duvet raiser?
Yeah. Funny enough, no, I was just working on that one on the scale, and I think
there ought to be a unit.
Yeah,
centimeters off the mattress.
25,000.
It's not.
It's not.
Not as much.
In my experience, it really isn't compared to ordinary curries. It's really not.
And I know you like to sort of desist before you've actually finished work, but can you tell us how this once Nigel has cooked it, compares with how it does compare?
I haven't actually cooked this particular one, so I can't. Okay. But I mean, I think the recipes are so good. Honestly, you can't go wrong.
What's your top tip, Nigel?
Yeah, also, and what about the things? What about this Rimon? This pomegranate port.
Pomegranate port.
Yeah, from Israel. So very, very unusual. And also, but I have got the hibiscus hibby drink, and I've got the smoothie with the pomegranates, blueberries, and acai as well. So we've got lots of alternatives. We've got non-alcoholic alternatives.
Okay, so is the key thing for serving non-alcoholic stuff with curry would be what? Fruit?
Yes, fruit-based I think would work really. I mean, you can use lassis and things, but again, I think we've gone down this fruit route. That's what I would definitely stick with, and I think that's a really good idea. But a very, very unusual book, and hats off to him. And his world travels. It's interesting how he arrived at where he is, and I like the backstory behind it, but it's well written. There's a sense of humour to it, and very easy to follow.
So your top tip?
My top tip is, if garlic and ginger stick to the pan while you're doing this, or any recipe, just add a few drops of cold water. That'll help lift it as well, so you don't panic as well. And also, if it is too hot, as I say, put more juice or smoothie in, or water. That'll always just dilute it a bit and just dissipate some of the heat.
I've tweeted a picture, so you can see, if you follow on Twitter at Simon Mayo, you can find today's recipe online. If you go to the Drive Time show pages, bbc.co.uk/radio2, you click on today's date. It's all from there. You can find the recipes archived on the Drive Time pages, and all 2011 recipes are available. How about that? So we had a 2001 and we didn't notice it pass on the Simon Mayo Drive Time Facebook page.